No, so what we have to do, just out of sheer principle, is we have to get Cody Bellinger on the All-Star, like, write-in ballot, but then not let him play because I don't want my athletes playing meaningless games like that. Coming to you pre-tape from the Best Coast Show studios, this is the Best Coast Show. I'm your host, Albert Aguilera. That's my producer, Curtis Sage. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can tell, Curtis is relegated to the corner again, which only means one thing.
It's not the corner.
Okay, you're like in the dead center of the room.
Kind of.
But it means one thing, and one thing only.
It means we have an awesome guest today, Albert, and we're going to be talking Dodgers again.
For Dodger Nation.
We are not really in the height of a pennant race, but things are kind of heated up.
It's not a race because we've already locked it up.
You think so?
A race implies there's competition.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll be talking about that through the rest of the summer. But yes, today we have a Dodger Nation episode. So thank you for joining us, Dodgers Nation. And let's get started.
Guys, welcome back to another Dodgers Nation episode of the Best Coast Show. With us today is a Los Angeles native. He is a actual native, born and raised in Los Angeles. He's a journalist for NBC, covers all of your local sports. And with us today is our friend and yours, Mr. Michael J Duarte. Woo! Michael, thank you so much for making the trek all the way out to the studio. A lot of guests are kind of like, yeah, I could be on the show. Oh, in person, in studio? Oh, man, that's so far. Can I just Skype? But no, you didn't Skype. You went the extra mile.
To Sylmar. I had to check out, see what Sylmar was all about.
Slytown.
It was important. Yeah.
That's what the
Hanging
natives
out in
call it.
Slytown.
Yes.
So thank you for having me, and thank you on the pronunciation of the last name. Perfect. It's the Hispanic
it's because I'm Mexican.
You have. Yeah.
We're really, really bad at pronouncing last names, specifically hockey last names, because having the French enunciation of things and like the ex-Soviet country enunciation of things isn't our forte.
You're also bad at Chicago, too.
And what was the other one? Where's Lindsay from? Where? Ontario?
Ontario is what you say. It's Ontario.
Whatever.
And it's Chicago.
What? No, Chicago, CH.
Okay. You ever play that game, Star Wars character or hockey player? These would be one of my favorite games.
I know.
Like they'll throw a name like Pecorine, and you're like, or Boba Fett, you know, and you're trying to figure out, is it a hockey player or Star Wars?
No,
funny.
I've never played that one before. We should play that one with Alex Foss when he's on the show.
Yeah, you can go online. You can. You have both names.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
Nice.
Guys, before we start, I got some swag for you guys, some Dodger swag.
Ooh. Nice.
Curtis, and Albert, you look like you need the pink hat. Oh, yes. Mother's Day Dodger hat. Curtis.
Thank you.
I'll wear a pink Dodger hat.
The classic Dodger blue Dodger hat.
Hey, look, it fits too. It's like my perfect size. I will wear. You see, now I am really anti hats like this, regardless of the sport, because I'm very much about those are not the team colors. But I make hear me out.
Yes.
I make the exception for the pink because I understand that the pink is always for the Mother's Day and for the Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Yes.
So it's always for a cause. But when I see jackasses walking around with like military, like just rim and then like snakeskin letters and then all sorts of other garbage, I'm kind of like, yeah. Or when you see like black and orange Dodger hats, you're like,
oh no, that's blasphemy.
What is wrong with
that's
you?
Blasphemy.
Yeah, that's bad. What is wrong with you?
You can't do that. You can't do that.
You can't do that. And now, Michael, you are a native. That is very rare in our industry. Working in the entertainment industry in Los Angeles, it is very rare that you run into other natives. So it's really cool to have you on. Now, being a journalist for NBC, you cover all the LA area sports. Were you a fan of these particular teams growing up?
99%, yeah. I would say the one team that I'm covering now that I wasn't a fan growing up.
That's what I was going to guess.
Well, yeah, the Clippers. And actually, because I'm in the business and I see these players now every day and talk to the players and build relationships with the players on both the Clippers and Lakers, and actually more so with the front office people and the PR people, I've actually grown accustomed to liking the Clippers. And personally, except for the fact they fired John Black recently, who, sorry, off the air, but John Black was a jerk.
Oh, you mean the Lakers?
Oh, JB from the Lakers. Yeah, he was a jerk. So I love the way the PR people at the Clippers treated you. They let you do what they want. They go above and beyond for you. They give you whatever you need. So I became more of like a Clippers fan just because of the people who are running behind the scenes stuff that most fans don't see. But no, it was the Rams. Even though when I grew up in here, the Rams were still in existence, my father was a huge Rams fan, and I was always like anti what my dad was. I was like the teenager, like, no, I'm going to like something else. So I grew up a 49ers fan, but now that I'm covering the Rams and they're back, they're starting to sway me a little bit. We'll see.
Now, I grew up without a team.
How?
I didn't have football. I didn't have a football team.
After.
Yeah, I was not born after, but by the time I was old enough to understand that sports were on TV, I was all like, hey, what's that Bronco doing on the freeway? And then, OJ left and took the Raiders and Rams with him.
Yeah.
So my very first ever NFL game was a Rams game in London last year. I had never gone to any pro football game prior to that.
You went to that London Giants-Rams game? That was a bad game to watch.
It was a bad game to watch, but it was pretty cool because I'd never been to an NFL game, and I'd never gone to England, so to go and do that and then be surrounded by New York Giants fans, which they get a bad rap, but the particular ones that I met were actually really cool.
They're diehard, and they will turn on their team like that. Do you remember the I think they called it the massacre at the Meadowlands? It was when Deshaun Jackson returned the punt, and Michael Vick and Brent Selleck and Jackson led this like four touchdown fourth quarter performance to come back and beat the Giants. I was at that game live, and I have never seen so many Giants fans turn on Tom Coughlin and their team like that, throwing things, cursing at him, saying stuff about his mother. Like, I don't know.
I mean, you look at New York and Philly, though; those are really tough markets. Those are really tough markets.
We're starting to become a tough market.
No, we're not a tough market.
I think we are.
No, we're not. And the reason we're not a tough market is because we live in Los Angeles and there's a million things to do and we have a million sports things. Yeah. And listen, if I'm not a sports fan, I'm a foodie kind of person, or I go to concerts like you do regularly.
You say in New York they don't have that too?
No, they don't have that kind of stuff. Because,
have you been to Manhattan?
That's all they have in those cities. That's
Manhattan,
that's
they don't
all
have to
they
watch
have in
sports
those
at
cities.
all.
Here, I can go to the movies, I can go to museums, I can go skiing. I'm an hour away from anything.
True.
Well, a few miles from anything, hours possibly because of the traffic. Yeah. But the guys that I hung out with, I actually got to hang out with the license plate guy in London.
Okay.
And this guy, hear me out on this one. This is really bizarre. He literally has about 60 license plates that his buddy carries in a backpack, and they take him with him because he goes to every single game and has gone to every single game for the last 15 years, home and away. That is insane. And he just wears like this giant neck, like, you know how like, what's his face would wear the giant clock?
Yeah.
Only his is a massive line of license plates. And we were outside at Buckingham Palace, and he took out all the plates, and there was like 60 of them, and he just lined them up, and we took a picture. And then we were going around London, and we found this double-decker bus, and he threw them over the side of the bus, and they ran across the street. And these license plates literally went from the top of the double-decker bus across the street. And then we took the pictures. It was pretty nuts.
Did he get one of those long ones, those long European ones while he was over there?
I don't know. I know that he doesn't because they're only American ones.
That would be as wide as him, I would imagine. Those are pretty wide. Those long license plates.
He didn't have one of those. They were all American plates. But I found it really crazy that like he flies everywhere with a backpack of license plates. How the hell do you get that through security?
Like, fans do weird things.
Like, sir, why do you have 150 pounds of aluminum plates with you?
Yeah, exactly.
It's true. But going back to the whole Philly thing, Philly fans and people of Philadelphia in general, I believe, and you might know this, they're happier to see you miserable than they are when their own team succeed.
Oh, that's completely true. We go to the example when Michael Irvin got hurt in the middle of a Philadelphia Eagles game, and they stood up and cheered and lavished in the fact that Michael Irvin got hurt, and that's why they call them bad fans. I mean, they
threw
snowballs at Santa Claus.
Exactly.
I mean,
that's terrible. We couldn't do that even if we wanted to.
Yeah.
We don't have snow here in Los Angeles, Curtis.
No, we do
Curtis pretends to be a Los Angelino, but he's not because he's originally from like Minnesota.
I was born in Minnesota, but I've lived here since
that makes you Minnesotan.
I've lived here since I was 6.
That's
42 years.
That still makes you Minnesotan, not native.
I've lived here longer than you
ever see Gangs in New York?
Say raised though.
Yeah.
You ever see Gangs in New York? I'm like the butcher from Gangs of New York.
Bill the Butcher.
Yeah. He only pretends to be. And he's super. Curtis,
character.
though, for the time that he's been here, super Los Angelino, goes surfing, does photography, has a weird diet. Like, he is like the pinnacle of non-native Los Angelino and all the things that he does. Outdoor concerts.
Mm-hmm.
He's embraced the culture.
Do you go to the cemetery to watch movies?
Yeah.
I always thought that was weird.
Yeah, do that too.
Us natives don't really do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we don't do those kinds of things.
That's why when we're at like an outdoor concert, like at the Bowl, like drinking wine, and someone like finds out that you're a native, it's like I said, it's like they're looking at you with binoculars, like you're a rare species of bird.
Yeah,
exactly.
And the worst thing about the out-of-town people is that everything they complain about is due to out-of-town people. High rent prices, traffic. Oh, I hate when people don't know how to drive, blah, blah, blah. Well, it's you out-of-town people, and all you do is cause traffic.
Well, especially the misrepresentation that we're all materialistic.
We're not. Those are the
out-of-town
people.
Those, like, no, those are the transplants that come here and want to be like every star in this town.
True.
They're not the people who were born
and the stars are almost always from out of state.
Usually.
Or Canada.
Usually.
We have a lot of Canadian celebrities. But we're like digressing a lot and ripping on out-of-town people when we should really be ripping on the NL West and the rest of the National League that sucks right now.
Yes.
It's true.
I was going to say, I was going to agree with Albert in the introduction of the show. I feel like the Dodgers are just giving the Diamondbacks and the Rockies a head start right now. It's like a 70-yard head start. Right?
No, it's true. It's like the guy in Atlanta you were telling us about earlier.
Yeah, Mr. Freeze, the Freeze.
Yeah, if you gave me a 70-yard head start, pole to pole on him, I guarantee you I would win.
Do you have the video of Mr. Freeze?
We do have video of Mr. Freeze, and we can show it for the viewers right now as I speak over it. And I mean, this guy was an idiot. He completely stopped running and kind of like tried to Usain Bolt it and celebrate it, and then he falls on his face and loses. But this guy apparently is an Olympic sprinter, right?
Yeah.
Michael?
So fun fact, everybody was wanting to know this identity of this guy.
Is this breaking news? Are you breaking this?
I am going to break it unless someone's already found out ahead of time. But his name is Nigel Talton. He was an Olympic sprinter. I think he finished 4th in the 100-meter qualifying, so he didn't make the Olympics for Rio. But he was so close.
Then he's not an Olympic sprinter.
Well, he's run in the Olympics before, but he did not go to Rio because he did not. He was in the I don't know what do they do up in Oregon, the track and field competition, the Olympic qualifiers. I guess.
Yeah.
He was in the qualifier but didn't make the top 3, so he didn't get to go to Rio. But I guess his PR is like 10.38 in the 100 or something. So
that's really good.
He was a ringer. Yeah.
Okay, so if we both started at the same time, he would smoke me. But if you gave me a 70-yard head start or 70 meters, whatever they're giving him, going pole to pole, I beat him.
What is the distance pole to pole? And it's different, right?
It's different in every stadium.
The Coors Field distance is like running a mile.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
it's completely different. And
first of all, I'm going to say there's no way you're beating that guy.
Not even with the 70-yard head start.
70 yards?
If you watch the video, which I've been looping as I speak,
yeah.
you see the guy that's going to lose run, and he's running by himself for like at least a third of the outfield.
His downfall was he started celebrating. You can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
We've seen it every time.
You might
Leon
get close.
What was the Super Bowl in Pasadena, the last Super Bowl here in Los Angeles? Yeah. Started celebrating too early.
I mean, how many times do you see the bicyclists throw their hands up like they're about to win, and then their bike starts to handlebar whip them, and then they fall and lose?
Well, we should not celebrate too early yet as Dodgers fans because this is a close race. I do get what you're saying, Michael.
We're allowing small markets to have an opportunity to get their ratings up.
Okay, forget about the Diamondbacks, but the Rockies are much, much better this year. Their lineup 1 through 8 is amazing. Anytime you have Nolan Arenado.
At Coors Field.
So what?
The Dodgers have the highest run differential in baseball. You put our lineup in Coors Field, you don't think we'd be up another 100 points?
Here's their big difference, though. Colorado added Greg Holland at the end of that bullpen. They needed desperately a closer, and they've got one of the best ones in the game.
But not the best one.
Right now, he's statistically as good as Kenley. So we are... Yes, will the Rockies slow down at the end of the year? Yeah, because their starting pitching will not last throughout the season. But I don't know if our starting pitching is going to last throughout the start of the season.
It already hasn't gone half a season before it's been depleted.
We can only go 4 innings.
We have depth. We have depth. And that's a really good segue into our first topic of Kenta Maeda being thrown into the bullpen to give us some depth there. Michael, now... I'm sure you've spoken with Kenta about this, and I was speaking with Curtis about this prior to recording. His contract is a very, 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 very favorable team-friendly contract. He signed it 2 years ago. It's 8 years, $25 million, $3 million a year, but it's extremely incentive-laden, and those incentives are, hey, bro, you have to start 15 games, then 20, then 25, then 30, and 32, and every plateau is $1 million, and then the innings pitched, every plateau is another $250,000. So now being thrown into the bullpen, he's like, this is costing me like $7 million this year.
Well, to be fair, they gave him every chance to, even though he was underperforming towards the end of the season, as we saw last year, they gave him every chance to hit all his incentive bonuses, and he did. And I think he made over $10 million last season with his innings pitch limit, his games won, and also the game started, as you mentioned. So, but I don't think this is necessarily going to last. They started this experiment with Hyun-Jin Ryu in the bullpen, and literally they're just alternating them. What happens with the Dodgers is, you ever see those AM/PM commercials? Too much good stuff.
Yeah,
like that's the Dodgers' problem right now. There's too much good stuff.
That's a good thing to have, though.
Yeah, exactly. Those are big problems and good problems you want to have. So the first they had that rotating revolving door, that carousel of DLs for the starting pitchers, where it's your turn to go on the 10-day DL. It's your turn to go on the 10-day DL. They just kept alternating.
Yeah, they're utilizing that.
The only person who, I think the only reason they didn't do this was because I wanted to know, is Andrew Friedman really going to walk up to Clayton Kershaw and be like, hey, we're going to put you on the 10-day DL with some phantom injury? I mean, Clayton Kershaw.
Plantar fasciitis is back.
Clayton Kershaw would laugh at him or step on him. He's like twice his size. So there is absolutely no way Kershaw was doing that. So they ran out of starting pitchers to put on the 10-day DL. and they sent Julio Urias back down to AAA because he was having problems with his command. So you now have essentially 6 starting pitchers with a lot of guys who can either come up or come down. You got Scott Kazmir, by the way, whose velocity has finally ticked back up to where it was in the past. I think the Dodgers are completely fine with him collecting a check and not pitching at all this season.
It benefits us more.
But exactly.
No, it's like when we've been the last couple of years, what have the Dodgers been doing with Friedman came in? We were literally paying players to go lose games for somebody else. That's a great
like Matt Kemp.
Exactly.
Brad Anderson's hurt again.
That is like the ultimate espionage in baseball. So it's as if Friedman and Zahidi are our espionage like spies who grab players and say, hey, bro, we'll pay you to suck somewhere else. Or not play at all.
Yeah.
Or to be on a reality show, like the case for Carl Crawford.
Oh, is that wait? Is that what he's doing now?
Yeah, he's doing a reality
we've
show
talked
with
about him.
his wife.
We've talked about him the last couple of weeks. We're like, where the hell is he? Is he like handing hot dogs
We're
out
missing
somewhere?
him.
Because he's still on our payroll.
Yeah, he's doing a reality show with his baby mama.
That's how they're paying for the reality show.
Which one is this one? Basketball wise?
Yeah, the basketball wife.
Even though he's a baseball player. Because I know that his wife at one point was like with a basketball player and an NFL player, and now she's got an MLB player. So if like she likes hockey, she might end up with an NHL player next.
She should just do that. I always said, so a friend of mine who went to high school with me was Bryn Cameron. She is Blake Griffin's girlfriend / baby mama. Mm-hmm. So she started at USC right when I was done there. She had a baby with Matt Leinart. Then she went and had a baby with Blake Griffin.
Interesting.
So I've always told her, like, okay, I can set you up with a baseball player if you'd like, somewhere with the Dodgers.
Corey
you get a hockey player, and you can just have like an all-star on every single sport.
That would be
all
awesome.
major pro sports. It'd be great.
Because Leinart was a great collegiate player. Blake Griffin's a great NBA player. I don't want to throw Corey. I mean, Corey Seager's like awesome, but I don't want to kind of throw him in that direction just yet.
No, Corey Seager's
we
a good
do
guy.
need to start
He's been with his
breeding
high
the
school
future.
sweetheart, by the way, Maddie.
Oh, sorry, ladies. Sexy Seager is not on the market. Oh, wait, what about Cody Bellinger? Because Curtis, he has a raging for Cody Bellinger.
Crush on Cody.
Raging man crush.
Fun fact, I found this out on Thursday night. I don't think they mind me telling you. The only 2 single guys on the Dodgers right now that I'm almost 100% aware of, Cody Bellinger, Chris Taylor. So ladies,
whoa,
you can
CT3.
have at CT3 or the Belly Blast all you want. Everybody else for right now is off limits, all right?
I think
Until
they
further
actually
notice.
Until
I
further
actually think
notice.
those 2 guys don't need any girlfriends. Just concentrate on baseball, for Christ's sake.
Right? I mean, what happened to Jock? Jock got engaged and then suddenly...
Yeah. Let's get girlfriends in November. It's distracting.
Yeah, it's true. It's the girlfriend curse.
It is. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's really difficult because you see these players that have had their high school sweetheart, right? Like Clayton Kershaw, he's married to his high school sweetheart, and he's tremendously successful. But then you find guys that are successful athletes and then find somebody, and they end up finding ladies that aren't, the most up and up with what you as an individual person, human being are all about. And then suddenly...
Like Matt Kemp and Rihanna.
Yeah, and then you suddenly start... Well, I've always been against one celebrity that happens to play for one of my sport teams dating another celebrity, because then it turns into like my PR people versus your PR people, and then it's like I'm really famous but you're really famous, and then the media, and then I don't need a New York circus in Los Angeles.
The Matt Kemp and Rihanna curse, let's face it, that was for real.
It was for real.
Like we were making a joke about it, but he was terrible, and then they break up halfway through the season, and post All-Star break, he's incredible.
So women cause problems is what you're saying.
Oh, yeah, but especially celebrity women, as you said.
Yeah.
Look at the
guys
Kardashian
that
curse.
cause
There
the
is
problem.
not a single Kardashian athlete they have dated. Even look what's happened to Kanye. I mean,
to be fair, the Kardashian curse didn't start off as a curse. It started off as a blessing because Reggie Bush got his Super Bowl with the Saints.
That's true.
That's
but
true.
I think he was injured when he got his Super Bowl with the Saints
Did he?
too. Yeah,
he still won though.
Blew out
and then
his
Lamar
knee.
Odom got his ring with the Lakers before the whole I'm gonna go do coke and hookers and
That's
boner
true.
pills.
I feel like it's like
get
a
traded to
long
Dallas.
duration. Like I feel like you can maybe win some titles in between there, but like the overall arc of your career, with the Kardashian has proven to be a curse. Yeah,
That's true because Tyga. Is that how you pronounce his name, Curtis?
I have
Tyga,
no
the
idea.
rapper.
I have no idea.
He was or still is dating one of the younger Kardashians or the Jenners. I don't know what.
Was.
I
Yeah,
thought Jordan
it was.
Clarkson was dating one of them too.
But yeah, where are they now?
broke up as well,
Okay,
but yeah,
you
see?
exactly.
See what's
Clarkson,
happening?
too.
I can't keep.
You know
track
who
of all
we
this.
should
D'Angelo
find?
Russell as well.
Who we should hook up with one of our Dodgers? Taylor Swift.
Why?
So
I'm a big Taylor Swift fan.
they all would go for Taylor Swift. Bellinger, by the way, he would shut it down for Taylor Swift anytime.
Is that what he plays in the locker room prior to the game?
Well, I actually asked him recently, would he prefer Justin Bieber or Taylor Swift? And he actually chose Taylor Swift.
That's not
his walk-up
stupid.
music and stuff. He said he hit more home runs in AAA with Taylor Swift than any other walk-up song in his life.
Boom. And unlike the Clippers, Taylor Swift has a banner hanging at Staples.
Yes.
I'm just saying.
That is true.
Taylor, next time you're in Los Angeles, we can try.
I've been trying to get her on the show for a really long time. No response from her people yet.
No,
her people are not responding to our people.
There's going to be zero response.
Player, we'll make it happen. But
that's what we got to make happen. Speaking of our minor league guys that are young and possibly single, what are we doing with Alex Verdugo? This guy has a cannon of an arm. He's hitting 300. He doesn't hit for power. This guy has like 25 career minor league home runs. So he doesn't hit for power, but he hits for average, and he is a monster in the outfield, and I feel that he should come up and replace Jock Peterson, and we could package Peterson and Maeda to, I don't know, like Oakland or somebody for Chris Sale.
Chris Sale's not on Oakland.
He's in Boston.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sonny Gray.
Sonny Gray.
I like that too, and that could happen. Honestly, I thought maybe I was kind of surprised we got Rich Hill last year. I thought Sonny Gray was the main target. Let's go back to Verdugo, as you said. You're right. I think he's just tearing it up in Oklahoma City. He's batting over 300, like 313 or something. Another guy down there who's doing really well is Willie Calhoun to look out for as well. But, back in, I want to say mid-April, Jock went on the DL with a groin strain. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And that was the first time he went on the DL stint. That was the moment where I was like, Alex Verdugo, now. Like, let's make this happen. Instead, the next day they call up Cody Bellinger.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And they move Tolsey to center field, and they put Bellinger in left. And the rest, as we know from what Bellinger did, is history. And then eventually Toles gets hurt, and then they turn Chris Taylor into a center fielder.
That's
and
right.
They had been working on that in spring training with him. And a lot of spring training games, putting him into center so he can work on his jumps and the ball off the bat. So we kind of saw that coming. Now that Chris Taylor's raking too, it just doesn't look like there's going to be a spot for Verdugo right now.
Because Peterson's getting called back up now that Agon's going on the disabled
He's in AAA Oklahoma City right now. He hit a home run in his first rehab game back. So he's probably going to come back when they get back at the end of the weekend for the next homestand coming up with the Mets. I think Jock will come back. But I don't think you see Verdugo this year if the team stands pat the way they are. But just like you said, I wouldn't even necessarily look at a starting pitcher, though I would love a guy like Sonny Gray. I'm looking at maybe another outfielder, a guy like Marcelo Zuna or Christian Yelich in Miami.
I'd take Christian Yelich
Trade
in a heartbeat.
guy like Jock Peterson. Maybe trade like one of your younger pitchers, maybe a Walker Buehler or a Mitch White or a Yadiel Alvarez or something. Bring in that big righty outfield bat, someone who can play center field if that's what you want to do. And that's where I think you see a chance maybe Alex Verdugo can come up in September, is if they move some pieces like you said. But also Alex Verdugo's a trade chip as well. I happen to know that during those Brian Dozier talks in Minnesota last year, they wanted either Cody or Alex Verdugo with Jose De Leon for Dozier, and the Dodgers didn't want to part with either Cody or Verdugo. So that was a good sign.
Volumes of the skill set that they have. Now, as far as I know, Verdugo only plays the outfield. Does he play any other position? Because that would really help his chances of coming up.
Center field right now, they could put him in right, but with Yasiel Puig there, that's fine. Also, I don't know what they're going to do with Andre Ethier now. He's finally started to do some baseball activities again. He's still
seriously
a month and a half away, but when he does come, they're going to put him on the roster. Whether he's a pinch hit off the bat or he gets some spot starts in right field, he's there. Like I said, too much good stuff again. I'm hoping because Ethier's contract comes off the books at the end of the year, he's going to be done. They might move something with Jock in the off season, especially what they're seeing that Chris Taylor can play center field, knowing Verdugo's there if that's what happens. So you could see Verdugo's rise and come up and be next season with the Dodgers. Funny thing though, Alex Verdugo and Cody Bellinger have this bromance. I don't know if you guys know this. In fact, I'll send you a photo that you can have the rights to. It's of them. It's their bromance in AAA. So they're both from Arizona. Alex is from Tucson. Cody's from Scottsdale. They grew up together. They played on all-star teams together. They're around the same age. They've been roommates together for the past 2 years, also with Willie Calhoun. So they go to dinner, have barbecues, mess around, play video games. They do everything together. So I actually, when Cody came up, and now that Cody's going to be here the rest of the year, I still talk to him like, do you miss Alex? Do you text Alex? They still text each other like they miss each other.
This is the Dodgers version of Pearson and Toffoli.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And, Toffoli just got engaged, so I would assume he's going to move out of the condo that he shares with Tanner Pearson.
I just saw, knowing Toffoli, he might wait a little bit.
Which is funny because he's dating the Dodgers.
Yeah, he's dating Kat.
Yeah, which I thought was funny because when I saw that, when I first noticed that they were dating, I was like, this lady literally booked herself a boyfriend because she books all the talent acquisition for like Dodger appearances and throwing out the first pitch. I was like, this lady legitimately just booked herself a boyfriend. She goes, I think he's cute. Let's book him. Hey, how you doing?
Well, I think that's better because they did meet in somewhat of a natural setting, but you're right. She booked herself a boyfriend because I have friends who said that Tyler Toffoli was on Tinder trying to like get chicks for the longest time before he started dating Kat. I actually saw Tyler on Thursday. He was celebrating big.
Yeah. He just got a new contract.
Yeah.
And so I went up to him and said, congratulations, but man, there was no way I knew you were leaving. Not with your fiance here, not how much you love LA and hanging out with Tanner and going to the beach and all that. It was just a matter of working out that deal.
Really big thing that the LA market has where, Los Angeles as a whole, it's a massive city with a million things to do. The weather's beautiful. The women are beautiful. The food is fantastic. And yeah, I know we hit you for like the largest tax in the country, but you can't beat the amenities that we have here. Because, okay, you're going to go to Florida or to Texas where there is no tax. But do you really want to live in Florida where all the weird shit happens and someone might be on bath salts trying to eat off your face? No, that's terrible. Where you're going to be walking in your mansion's lawn and then suddenly an alligator's going to be coming out of your pool. You're like, what the hell's that?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. I have two funniest side notes on that. First, Milan Lucic is a great example of that. He came to LA, he loved it.
And then he
the guy was at concerts every night. He was at Disneyland. He loved it. In fact, he's now back in LA hanging out with Pearson and Toffoli every night. Nice. They're going to dinner. His birthday was just a few days ago.
Milan and I have the same barber.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So
really weird.
He loved. So I would say, I don't know, the first time Edmonton came to LA to play the Kings, it was probably last fall. It was still early. Edmonton was good, but they were still in that area. And I rode in the elevator with Lucic. He didn't even know where he was going from the visitor side of the locker room. He was trying to walk to the cars at Staples Center. But I was like, so how's Edmonton? Man, look on his face. I miss LA. I wish I was back. I wanted to be back. Honestly, it was Dustin Brown's fault. That's the reason why Milan Lucic is not a King, is because Dustin Brown has the worst contract in all of sports.
Yeah.
But
and he made a lot more money leaving us to go play in Edmonton, so I can't fault him for going after a couple $1 million more.
And they're better, but he misses LA. He would have rather been playing in LA. Sometimes they always say happiness is more important or more valuable than money sometimes, and I think that's the case with him. The other one is AJ Ellis. When Miami was here in town, I was with AJ Ellis. AJ Ellis is a great guy. And I was in the elevator with him. How's Miami? It's all right.
It's all right.
There's a new stadium out there in Miami, though, right? This had the All-Star game and stuff. It's all right.
It's because he didn't have Clayton with him.
Yeah.
He doesn't like the weather. He's not a huge fan. Obviously, the team isn't doing that well. They're underperforming. You could just also tell in the look from his... Even when I said, well, do you miss it here? He's like, man, I miss it here. This is a special, special place. I miss LA.
I go on vacation and I miss Los Angeles.
Me too.
I drive outside the city.
2 weeks is like my max.
Yeah, where's the nearest In and Out?
I drive outside of the county and I miss Los Angeles.
Shut up. You're leaving me to go to Chicago and St. Louis.
That's just
He's leaving me to go to Chicago and St. Louis. Something about family vacation or some bullshit.
Yeah, whatever. I can't bring you with me.
He'll be calling you like in 2 weeks, like,
hey, how's the show going doing without me?
Exactly. I'm gonna go to a Cubs game. Hey, so let's talk about Cody Bellinger
in the home run derby. I say no. Absolutely not.
I say no too.
No.
Michael.
He's gonna do it.
Don't let him. You have a direct source to him.
He's gonna want to do it. The Dodgers don't mind him doing it. I'm on your side. I would, if I had a choice, I would say yes, the no. But it's like a coin flip, right? I mean, here's Dodgers who have done the home run derby: Adrian Gonzalez, Yasiel Puig, Matt Kemp, Jock Peterson.
Garbage.
So
post derby, garbage at the derby, garbage.
Yasiel Puig didn't even hit a single home run when he did the derby. Like
Matt Kemp hit 0.
Matt Kemp. So that doesn't affect their swing when you can't even hit it. Now Jock, I think there's. That kind of curse could happen. He actually went to the finals, if you remember.
Yeah.
He lost in the finals. And I was impressed the power he was hitting in that home run derby. He looked good. And then after, I don't know if it's just the league catching up, getting more tape, or if he exhausted himself in that home run derby. But he fell off the rails after that. Now here's the next example. Corey Seager last year actually did pretty good in the home run derby. Decent showing. Didn't advance. He got kind of robbed. And then he still had a great second half of the year, ends up winning NL Rookie of the Year. So you can do it and not affect you, but the way Bellinger swings, the way he swings, it could get you kind of tired. The only good thing I'll say about the new format of the Derby is you can take timeouts. It's not so much like a war of attrition anymore. You can take timeouts during it, take a rest, and it's not as bad as it used to be. But there is something funny I'll say. We do a show called Discover Your Dodgers, where we interview a player, every week, and we get their thoughts. And one of the questions I've asked maybe half of the Dodgers right now in spring training is, if there was a Dodgers-only home run derby right now with this roster as it's assembled, who wins it? 75% of the players said Cody Bellinger, hands down.
Well, he's leading the team in home runs, and he's been on the team for, I think, 30 less games than anybody else. I mean, and he's just been crushing it. But I don't want him in the home run derby just because there's that stigma and there's that curse. And honestly, I don't believe the home run derby physically does anything to you. It's a mental thing. It gets into your head, and then you get the yips, and then suddenly we have to start calling sports psychologists to come in and talk to you in between games, in between innings, and calm you down and give you a puppy that's gonna what are they called, the
emotional support animal.
Yeah, and that I don't want to have to do that with my players, especially with someone as young as Seager, and that's really cool because what we're seeing now is what we saw 07, 08 with Russell Martin and Billingsley and Kershaw and Kemp and Loney.
And Todd Hollingsworth. Yeah.
This youth movement that is coming in, and that excites me because the team is doing very well and it's getting younger. We're not the Yankees that are like, hey, let's sign Joe Schmo to an insane contract who happens to be 34.
Well, that's why you're 100% correct. That's why right now Cody Bellinger and that starting pitcher, I can't think of his name right now, for the Colorado Rockies are the front runners for the NL Rookie of the Year right now. And even before those teams you just named with that youth movement, I was going back to those 4 NL Rookies of the Year in a row back in the 90s.
Was it 5?
Was it 4 or 5?
Nomo, Piazza,
Karros,
Mondesi.
Piazza, Mondesi, and Todd Hollingsworth. Yeah, that's 5. You could
the Roy
see
boys.
If Verdugo comes up next year, you could see Verdugo. The guy like Walker Buehler or something comes up the year after that and just is as good as they're saying and how he's pitching.
So we're going to go on another streak?
You could have another streak.
I mean, the Dodgers own the Cy Young and Rookie of the Year award, basically. Like, collectively as an organization throughout the history of baseball, while these awards have existed, we've owned them.
Yeah.
Like, no one comes close. It's kind of like, okay, the Yankees got their 28 rings, which is really awesome, and then it kind of falls off to like 15 with the Cardinals, and that's how we are with those individual awards, where we have the Rookie of the Years and we have the Cy Youngs, and it just kind of falls off.
Yep. So going back to the Bellinger real quick, as a Dodgers fan, no, I don't want to see him in the home run derby either. What's the point? There's no point for me. As a fan of baseball, how cool would it be to see Bellinger and Aaron Judge in like a home run derby finals?
That would be really
That'd be
cool.
pretty cool as a baseball fan.
Yeah. But like I've said multiple times on this show, is that I'm all about my team, not an individual player. I'm the goal every year is to win a championship, and I hate having my players in meaningless exhibition games where they could potentially get hurt. You're going to give us 3 days off a year, consecutive days off in a season that's 9 months long plus playoffs. That's 162 games. I want my players to go to the trainer, go to the kinesiologist, go get x-rays, make sure these guys are tip-top, and just, if you don't have to move for the next 3 days, don't. Just rest up, drink your amino acids. Let's get ready to rock wherever it is our next road trip is, or if we're playing at home.
Yeah, let's actually go to that exhibition game you were just talking about, the All-Star game, which actually, if the Dodgers end up where we all hope and think and want them to end up, and they're projected to end up, that All-Star, that meaningless exhibition game could actually have
implication
on home field advantage in the World Series potentially. So if you look at the recent balloting right now, Corey Seager has fallen off an All-Star
He's second,
starter. Yeah, he's second now behind Zach Cozart. So
I think it's total garbage because, and this is ironic because it is Cincinnati. Back when the All-Star game was still being played in one National League stadium and the following week in an American League stadium, back in the 60s, MLB did away with fan voting because the people of Cincinnati were stuffing the ballot. Now MLB is encouraging, I mean, they've done this for a few years now, encouraging you to stuff the ballot. Hey, Michael, you can sign up with 25 different emails and vote up to 25 times a day. And you're kind of like, what? So what you're telling me is that small market teams who have nothing better to do but sit around and fiddle on the internet, not that we don't do that all day either.
Exactly, yeah.
That's what we do, are going to sit down and go to like literally voting centers the way like a convention for a political office would have, and then people show up to a bunch of laptops, basically overrun a Mac store, and then just start voting nonstop all day because they got nothing better to do. Here, we have to sit in traffic because we have things to do. I'm in traffic 4 hours a day. That is my part-time job, sitting in traffic, and not because I'm an Uber driver, but because I have shit to do, and I'm like just stuck.
Once all of the cars in Los Angeles have Wi-Fi and like a screen in there that can have a browser and stuff, we could vote so many times in
My
traffic.
car
for
has
All-Star
that,
games.
but
That would
I'm
be
too lazy to
great.
do it.
Yeah, I'm kind of lazy.
I'll
to do
vote
that too.
once. I'll vote
I don't
maybe
think
once.
As a member of the media, I'm even allowed to like vote for the starters. But you know what? I will say this.
Do you get to vote at the end of the year for the awards?
Yes, and that's cool.
Dodgers all the way around?
Sometimes. I mean, if it's an obvious choice, yes.
Okay.
Obviously, yeah. So
You're a professional. We are not. We are just a bunch of
I'm a
assholes on the
professional,
internet.
You know, I always go with, and actually I go with a little bit of long shots. But if it's like an obvious, like Seager last year, obvious choice, I went with Seager, and my second choice was Maeda. So, but that was the way it was. But for MVP, I didn't vote Seager, so I voted Chris Bryant just because I thought he deserved it, and I already voted Corey for Rookie of the Year. But for the All-Star game, you're hitting the point. I think it's changed a little bit. I mean, like it was like the Kansas City Royals a couple of years ago, or was it last year when they had like 7 starters in the All-Star game in a small market like Kansas City?
It was the year they won the World Series. That was what, 2015?
Yeah, so was it 2 years ago, or was it after they had won the World Series that everybody was voted in like last year? And it was the same thing because the Cubs had a bunch of players last year, and then MLB tried to
You can argue that the Cubs deserved it though, because like what Theo Epstein does is he has like these perennial All-Stars that are on entry-level contracts in every position. But I don't think the Kansas City Royals did it.
The entire starting infield
was Cubs, yeah.
was Cubs last year, and I didn't like that at all. I was fine with the corners. I was fine with Rizzo and Bryant, but Russell and...
Do you remember, I mean, this was years ago because it was Jeff Kent and Cesar Izturis. Do you remember when they were like leading the voting by God knows how many miles, and then the Cardinals were on the road, and then suddenly David Eckstein got like 1 million votes overnight and overtook Cesar Izturis?
Yeah,
and everyone was like, and Jim Tracy was our coach at the time, and he's all like, I don't know how that happens. Your team's on the road, and you suddenly get 1 million votes overnight, and you overtake one of my guys. I don't get it.
That was shady. Yeah,
that was shady.
I will say this. So here's as of today, up to the minute, starters in the All-Star based on the fan vote. You have Zimmerman, who's leading the league in batting average at first base.
I'll buy that.
Murphy at second. I'll buy that. Chris Bryant at third. I'll buy that. Cozart now at short, who's batting 324. Seager's not even batting over 300 right now. I'll give that. Buster Posey, who's batting like 340, is a starting catcher. And then your outfield is Bryce Harper, Charlie Blackmon, and Jason Hayward.
We need to write in Cody Bellinger.
Yeah. But again, I would rather like my guys not be part of that.
True. He just playing the home run debris.
Exactly. Just let him do something else and not be a part of it with a chance to get hurt. So right now, I think the fans have it right. I'm being honest.
And that's a really solid lineup.
Unbiased. I think Blackman's killing it this year too for the Rockies. So right now, I think they have it right. So now it's up to this like congregation of players, coaches, and managers that vote for the other 18 spots or something. That's where I hope Corey Seager, Justin Turner, Kenley Jansen, Clayton Kershaw, those guys all get in, I hope, from that second side of things. And I actually think Chris Taylor's made a case to potentially be an all-star as well.
Be
CT3.
one of the options.
Yeah.
I think him and Turner and Seager are currently the quote-unquote snubs. And, I mean, I know Turner was out for almost 3 weeks or so. Yeah. But he was hitting 380 when he went out. I mean, the guy's still raking. His first at-bat was a home run. And he's just doing fantastic. But I think a lot of it is small market teams that have nothing better to do, so their fans just vote and vote. And there's a lot of you're in the media, so you see a lot of the East Coast bias. And I'm not taking anything away from Chris Bryant because I think he's a fantastic player. But I think Turner legitimately has the resume right now to be like, hey, I should be starting at third base.
But he has defensively, batting average, but Chris Bryant's still crushing some home runs and stuff. He's not hitting as well as he was before. He's gone through some slumps.
And I think Chris Bryant
he's the
has
reigning
the star
MVP,
power.
on the world champion.
But that's last year.
And right now he's the only Cub, whereas last year they had the entire starting infield. So if you got to make one a starter, I'm fine with it being Chris Bryant. But Justin Turner needs to make that team.
But do you think Chris Bryant is getting the nod because of past accomplishments? Because that's always bothered me, where I think if the All-Star game, and it does matter because you get home field advantage, it should be the best current players, regardless of their time of service, regardless of what teams they play for, regardless of what they did last year. Like, it's cool that, what they did for Cal Ripken, and hey, he's...
Well, Jeter, the same thing,
what
though.
they did for Jeter. Okay, cool, I get it. The dude's been in the league for 20 years. But Chris Bryant's been in the league for 3 now, I think. And it's like, okay, awesome that you were amazing last year, and you're doing very well this year, but not as well as this person who doesn't play on ESPN every night because the ESPN only likes to play the Cubs and the Yankees. But I get it. You have more national media attention than Ginger Jesus in Los Angeles.
Yeah. But, the NBA was always victim of that, and at some point you just accepted that the fans vote their heart, not necessarily what they see on the court. I mean, Kobe plays 4 games.
I say it all the time.
Breaks
the
his
average
knee
fan
and is
is
the leading voter.
Yeah, the average fan is pretty stupid. Like, I come on this show every week and I make fun of most fans because most fans, they're not ignorant. They're just not educated to being able to think with their head as opposed to their hearts. So I pray to God they're not gamblers, because that's how you're going to lose all your money.
Right. So like I said, I'm fine with the starters. If you want to put Chris Bryant in over Justin Turner as a starter, fine. As long as Justin Turner is on that team, he deserves to be on the All-Star and voted there. With that said, I don't want him playing.
I don't want him playing either.
I don't want Clayton Kershaw pitching. I want them to be on the team. I want them to be honored.
Sign some autographs, shake hands, kiss some babies, and call it a day.
Out. Exactly. That's exactly what I want from everybody.
Yeah, speaking of getting out, we got to get out of here soon. So let's do our gift of the day. I don't know if you saw this, but guys, our gift of the day, this is a minor league game for a St. Louis affiliate where these 2 kids have to drink ices, and they're racing, and I don't know why you would do this, because this little kid just destroys his icy and immediately regrets his life.
Gulp. Gulp.
Look at his, I mean, this kid is just like this. And we've all been there.
We've all been there. That's what I was about to say, yeah.
And it's like, who thought of that? Like, poor kids. I mean, as an adult, I think it'd be funny to do that to kids, but it's funny, but it's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, but I kind of like it. You know what I mean? It's like the Dodgers do this thing, and I'm sure other stadiums do it, where you got to race to second base, steal the base, and come back for the kid. I think that's the most boring promotion until the kid trips and eats dirt on the middle of his run back, and then I love it. And then I'm like, this is the greatest promotion
because then it's funny.
Because then it's funny. A 6-year-old kid like crying on the court, and they're like running the clock again, so he still has more time to get up and finish.
And you're embarrassing this kid in front of 56,000 fans.
Yeah, and I'm loving it. I'm clapping.
Wait, so are you the guy that sees like the kiss cam and a guy drops to his knee to propose? And are you the guy rooting that the girl says no and like runs away?
I'm like rooting that he doesn't pull out a ring and he pulls out like a big $20 beer from instead.
I've seen those before where the guy goes.
Yeah, I'm totally rooting for her to say no.
Nice.
And just for him to be devastated on the cam. Did you notice about that gift also that this kid is wearing a Masters hat?
Yes, I saw that.
I don't know where this, I think it's like a minor league promotion, but like where's this kid hanging out where he's getting a Masters hat? You know you can only buy Masters gear at Augusta National.
Yeah.
Like, you can't get it anywhere else. If you want the logo with the country,
well,
with
it's
the
a
pin.
Cardinals minor league affiliate. I don't know where they're located, but maybe they are located somewhere near Augusta.
I don't know, maybe.
Could that be it? Or could it be that this kid just picked up a hat off the floor?
I don't think so. I think this kid, like his father, whoever it was, this kid was just gulping down Slurpees all the time and getting brain freezes.
Well, that could be
was over at the Masters,
Well, that could be it. His dad could be somebody important, and is why they put him on there. Because,
exactly.
like I told Curtis, I go, Curtis, you're pretty important, and that's why your kid was able to run on the field with the Dodgers. He ran onto the field with Gonzalez, and I was like, you know why I hate your kid? Because that was never even an option for me growing up.
By the way, when they do those like sausage races in Milwaukee or like the president races, and those are like important people in there. Alana Rizzo's been in there a bunch of times. Like
inside the suit?
Yeah, inside the suit.
Nice.
They don't just pick like random people. They're like, you, media member, son of the GM. Like, yeah, you go in those suits.
That is pretty awesome. Huh. All right, Dodger Nation, but that's been our show. Don't forget to stalk us on Twitter at Besco Show. Don't forget to stalk Michael J Duarte on show, which we never talked about your middle initial, J.
The mysterious mystery.
I'm going to go with Jebediah Duarte Juan. I'm going to go with Juan. Jose. Jesus. Jesse.
Jackass.
Jackass? How do you say that in Spanish?
I'm just
Jackson.
Kidding. I'm just kidding. That's what I'm told a lot, that it stands for Jackass.
It stands for Jackass?
Yeah, that's what I'm told.
What does the J in Michael J Duarte stand for?
Well, like everybody.
Did you do it to be Hollywood like Michael J Fox?
I
Homer
love
J.
the
Simpson?
Michael J. Fox example because, was it Andrew?
It was Andrew. It's Michael Andrew Fox, but he didn't think that Andrew was Hollywood enough or that Andy was Hollywood enough, and the Screen Actors Guild wouldn't let him have Michael Fox because there was already another Michael Fox on.
Plus his initials would be Max.
Yeah.
And I think he wouldn't like that too much.
Well,
Mad Max or
in
something
his
like
biography, he said that he didn't like the idea of a Fox because at the time that he was blowing up, the term Fox was meaning hot or sexy. So he didn't want to be Michael A. Fox, Mm-hmm. And I would have been like, I would have gone with that.
Well, it's funny because like I always go back to the Michael J. Fox example of like my name, like why can't it just be a J? Like his real middle
Homer
initial
J.
was his real
Simpson?
was Andrew, like Homer J.
Jace
Simpson.
is literally a J.
Exactly.
Philip J. Fry, literally a J. Fictional characters, but
that's where it's at. But again, I will say this. It's not embarrassing, though usually that's why people just go by the J and don't say the real thing. and it's not something crazy like Jebediah or something like that or something unpronounceable. There is a story behind it, and if your viewers want to figure it out, next time I come on the show, we'll tell them. But one thing was, I was at film school at UCSB. That's where I went to undergrad, and I was doing a lot of work as a grip and proof stuff on some projects. And so on IMDb, there was already another Michael Duarte. So
you needed to stand out.
I needed to stand out and separate myself. Otherwise, we were going to be lumped together. So that's where the J came from, and I've ran with it
just like Michael
since.
J. Fox.
Kinda,
so your middle name is probably Andrew as well.
It's not.
Is it Brian?
It's not. No.
Is it Clayton?
It does start with a J.
Oh, okay. Well,
so it's there.
That's something.
But I would say, why can't it just be the J?
One day I'll tell the origin story of how I got my name from my mom, which is pretty funny. Mexicans will get it. Non-Mexicans won't get it, but Mexicans will get it.
To end with something real quick, I just did this with some friends. We all went out in Hollywood one night. It was a big group of like 8 of us, and I was in the car. We were in the Uber on the way there, and I said, how many of you had like a Plan B name? You know what I mean? Like your parents almost named you this.
But then you turned out to be a boy or a girl.
But then you went with another thing. Not even that. Like my parents were going to call me Sean Anthony. And then at the last minute, like when it was time to write the name on the birth certificate, they changed it to Michael. Otherwise, it would have been Sean Anthony. And so like everybody in the car was like, oh, I was almost Gladys and I was almost Roger and all these things. So I said, for tonight only, we only refer to ourselves by like our Plan B names.
Nice.
So like, did you have like a Plan B name where you like almost
No,
named
my mom
something else?
specifically went into the pregnancy with this thing in mind.
It was like a lock.
And I was like, wow, that's like I'm really big on trolling people and I take jokes a little too far. And so I think I kind of get that from my mom's side of the family where she took this joke a little far.
It's not from the cartoon, right? Hey.
No.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure.
No, that's why Mexicans would get the joke, but not non-Mexicans.
What is it from?
Well, do you know who Juan Gabriel is?
Yeah, the singer?
His legal name is my legal name. So growing up, I'd have my name tag, and I'd be going to like museums or wherever for school, and then everyone would be like, hey, look, that little kid's got Juan Gabriel's real name. And I'd be like, what the hell's going on?
All right.
Yeah,
so
but that is the origin story to how my mom is such a fanatic. And then, white people, for those of you who don't know who Juan Gabriel is, may he rest in peace. He was the Elton John of the Latin American world.
Mm-hmm. And he just passed away, last year?
Yeah, last year.
Yeah.
And he died here in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
He died in his mansion in Santa Monica.
Mm-hmm. He grew pretty big.
He got pretty big.
He did the Marlon Brando
He
diet
did.
towards the end there.
All right, guys. Go. But again, we are going to try and end the show before anything else. You got anything else?
No, that's it.
All right. So we're going to stop digressing. We're going to end the show. Dodger Nation, thank you for tuning in again. Stalk them on Twitter at Dodgers Nation. You can stalk Michael on the Twitter at Michael J Duarte. You can follow us on the Twitter, Best Coast Show, Instagram, and what is it? Oh, the podcast. You know that our podcast is on iTunes, SoundCloud, Twitch. No, I always say Twitch, but I always fuck it up because it's not Twitch. Twitch is for video
the TV
games.
One, right?
No, Twitch is for video games.
Oh, you're right.
We're on Stitcher. Yes, on the Stitcher. But you guys know what I'm saying. That's been our show, and you guys have a good night.